It takes a feeling 90 seconds to be felt and released in our physical body. What this means is that if we don't actually feel what we're feeling because we're pushing it aside or we don't have time to feel it, then it doesn't actually get released. It doesn't move through us because feelings are normal, right? We're going to always feel feelings. We're going to always feel a way. That's part of the human experience. But we're not meant to hold on to the feelings. Welcome back to the Essence Show and podcast and to the mini mindset mastery series that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks. And today we're going to dive into emotional regulation. And this series has been so amazing in really diving into how your mind works. Why do we want to master this thing up here? Why is it so important and key and crucial to not only creating flow and balance in your life, so having this inner state of really being grounded, feeling like you have time, feeling like you're in control of your life, but what that ends up doing is rippling out into every other area of your life as well. So not only giving you that balance, but also giving you that external purpose and success and fulfillment. So I'm super excited to dive into this final episode in the series, as far as I know at this point, unless I get some messages asking for more or I have some other ideas that end up coming up. But we're going to talk about emotional freedom today. And emotional freedom, I mean, if any of us are here, we all got a lot of emotions, right? Like we're constantly feeling things. So we're going to dive into how you can really hold yourself through that, how you can shift that, how you can work with that. And again, what this has to do with the mind and mastering the mind. Before I do that, if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you in this community and in this space. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow along here so that you can get updated weekly with a new episode that comes out every single Wednesday. And if you know someone who would love this episode, love this series, love this show, pass it along to them. Let them know that you're thinking of them. Share the wealth, share the wisdom. And if you've been loving this series over the last couple of weeks, Liberation, my brand new course, is for you. This is where we're going to dive into the alchemy of mind mastery and emotional freedom for rebirthing balance from the inside out. So like I said before, yes, balance is a feeling that we can feel internally, but it ends up becoming a reflection of what you experience in your life, having more time, having more energy, having more ease, having more fulfillment, understanding your purpose, having more clarity that comes through because you are balanced in here. You are grounded in an inner state of harmony. And the only way that we can get there in the first place is actually liberating you from all of the things that are holding you hostage, I have aggressively put. Because our emotions and our mind and our nervous system, as we've discussed and explored over the last couple of weeks, can really run the show if we let them. And most of us are letting them because no one has taught us how to do this. They don't teach this in school. They don't teach you emotional regulation, nervous system regulation, mind mastery. They don't teach you how to understand what's going on in your mind so that you can work with your mind as opposed to feeling like it's this constant struggle that you need to fight against. So this is where everything begins to open up. You get the keys basically for your own mind and body that unlock all of the doors for you. Literally, I'm not kidding. So make sure you join the waitlist for that. That's in the description below as well. So real quick, short, sweet, final episode in this series, emotional freedom. Why do emotions have to do with mind mastery? We talked about this last week, but I'm going to say it again for anyone who's new here. When we think about our mind, we often think about our thoughts and what we're thinking and our mental state and how we're doing mentally. But everything that we're thinking in our minds is attached to how we're feeling. Every thought that we think is actually attached to a feeling. And that's why the thoughts mean something, because we're attaching an emotional charge to them. Does that make sense? And if you think about how many thoughts you think in one day, there are so many pieces of information that you are taking in. And often as we move through the day, we don't even notice what we're thinking, or we don't even notice how something that someone said or something that we thought actually is affecting us because we just haven't trained our minds to have that sort of awareness, to understand, oh, I'm feeling a way about this right now. Most of us don't feel what we feel unless it's a really big feeling. And we're really, really good, most of us, at pressing down the feelings, pressing down the emotions because they're uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to feel the feelings that we sometimes feel or that we often feel, like frustration or doubt or fear or nervousness or uneasiness or anxiousness or stress. Any of those feelings, we're like, push them aside. And if you are moving through the work world, in your career or in your business, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of those feelings because there's a lot of situations that maybe don't always go the way that you planned. You have to accept some sort of rejection. You have to have a difficult conversation. You have to talk to someone who, makes you feel nervous or whatever it is. And so we have all of these thoughts then that then give us an emotional response. Point being here that most of us are not actually dealing with the feelings that come up. And so what ends up happening is our emotional systems get very deregulated, and our physical body often starts to feel the effects of that because when our emotions get deregulated, what that basically means is we're pushing them all away and they're needing to be stored somewhere in the body. It takes an emotion 90 seconds, a feeling, let's call it a feeling. It takes a feeling 90 seconds to be felt and released in our physical body. What this means is that if we don't actually feel what we're feeling because we're pushing it aside or we don't have time to feel it, then it doesn't actually get released. It doesn't move through us because feelings are normal, right? We're going to always feel feelings. We're going to always feel a way. That's part of the human experience. But we're not meant to hold on to the feelings. And we're not meant to have these feelings start to take over our lives. We're just meant to feel them as an experience that we can gain information from and learn from and grow from. And so when we don't feel those, they get trapped somewhere in the body. This phrase is so beautiful and it explains this all so well and so simply, but you need to feel it to heal it. You need to feel what you're feeling in order to heal what you're feeling and in order to release it from your body. And this is where this concept of freedom comes into play. I had a really interesting conversation the other day where someone asked me the question, do you need to know the situation that you're thinking of? Because we are talking about releasing emotions and really sitting with the feelings, which is a beautiful technique that I do, known as the letting go technique, which you can also very simply practice for yourself. Doesn't mean it's easy, but you can practice it, where you tune into what you're feeling and you just let it be there without needing to attach or understand or put too much weight on it. And the question came up, well, do I need to know the situation? And the thing is, you might know why you're feeling that way, but you don't have to know why you're feeling it to heal it or to release it. The point is to simply feel what's there. And then the question came, well, if I do know what the situation is, will it not just make it worse? Like, will I not just relive that same experience over and over again? And this brings us back to the previous conversation around how our mind is so attached to our feelings, or our thoughts are so connected to our feelings, because our feelings, there's always a feeling attached to a thought. And what that actually comes down to is that we create a story around the feelings that we feel based on our thoughts. So another way to put this is you see something that happens, or you experience something that happens in your life, let's say between you and a partner, and you build a story around that. He did this because of X. He doesn't love me because of Y, right? Like, we're creating a story. There's no proof to that outside of the fact that it's a feeling that you probably feel hurt or betrayed or whatever it might be. And you create a story around that. And so, of course, if you are so focused on the story when you are trying to let go of the emotion, you're going to get caught up in the story and therefore build on the emotion. Does that make sense? So the emotion is expanding, it's getting bigger, it's getting stronger. Whereas if you sit with just the emotion and you let go of the story, that's why it can be helpful to know the story to understand, okay, I'm letting go of this, I'm releasing this, I'm creating freedom and liberation around this. But we don't want to get caught up in the story so much that we get pulled back into expanding the emotion. We simply want to feel the emotion that is currently there. Does that difference make sense? So like I said, one way to do this is through the letting go technique. And I have a plethora of tools, and I'm going to also be diving into this inside of Liberation, my brand new course, where I give you the actual tools to release what's coming up, to be with what's coming up, because of course you can try this, and I highly recommend you do. I think it is in itself a very powerful technique, but it can also feel very open-ended and very vast at this point, especially if this is new for you, where you are like, okay, well, I'm feeling it, and like, what's happening? Or you get caught up in the story or something else comes up. And so doing this work in a supportive environment is super, super important because it's going to increase the shifts in the results that you receive and actually help you in fully releasing it and also not putting something new on top of it, right? We don't want to add more of the tough stuff. But it also comes down to a deeper level that it's not just about letting go of what's there because we're like, oh, I want to let go, I want to let go, I want to let go. But it's also about understanding, how do I now move forward so that I don't push things aside, so that I don't suppress what I'm feeling, so that I actually regulate myself in the first place and hold my space for my emotions in the first place, so that I do have the emotional freedom, so that my emotions aren't taking control over me and running my life, that I actually am the one in the driver's seat. And that's where having the foundations is so important, because yes, we can do the letting go, we can do the releasing, but it's actually about, what are you putting in place to support yourself and the way that you want to be living moving forward, right? So the waitlist is open for liberation. I invite you to join. I'm so, so excited to be sharing this with you. The tools and the methodology that I use is truly innovative. This is like one of the most frequent responses and testimonials that I get, is just that the way in which I teach these things, that, we've all heard about mindset before. We all know it's important, but it's just a completely new approach. I package it in a way that is really, really accessible and easily implementable in your life, that you can take it. But trust me, it's going to be something that you've never actually done before in this way. So I'm so, so excited to invite you in there. And by getting on the wait list, you are going to be the first to hear about everything from opening doors to discounts to bonuses and all of the extra goodies. So go regulate your emotions, go step into that emotional freedom, give yourself space to feel what you're feeling so you can heal it. And I'll see you next time.